Hey guys, what's going on? We are back with another podcast for Embers and Insights. I'm Chris.
I'm Bobby.
And we're going to talk about the difference between cigars and cigarillos. I think it kind of ties in with the last educational podcast we did, which was handmade versus...
machine-made cigars.
Machine-made versus hand-rolled cigars, sorry. I would say most machine-made cigars, when they make them, they are making them in cigarillo sizes.
Yes.
Right? I haven't ever really read, smoked, or done research on any, like, if there was handmade cigars that were the size of, like, a premium one, right?
Yep.
So do you want to talk about the difference between cigars and cigarillos? You want to?
Yeah, I mean, typically cigarillos, they have different packaging formats. Hand-rolled cigars, I think the smallest ring gauge is probably around a Lancero size, which is like a 38 ring gauge.
Yeah.
And then, cigarillos, like I said, they come in pack formats. So there's typically, if you buy a full brick or a carton of
brick.
You get a full brick going of cigarillo pack. So you may be getting like a 5x20. So it'll be 5 packs of 20 cigarillos.
Yeah.
Or they do 10x10s, which
Cigarillos,
is 10 packs of 10s.
Yeah, they don't usually come in boxes.
Yeah,
they come in tins.
Yep.
They're not really ever sold single, too.
No, single cigars.
No.
You can buy single tins, but I haven't really seen many, unless there's some random smoke shops that do sell them as single cigars. Typically not, because I know for the sake of I typically smoke Davidoff mini cigarillos if I'm crunched on time, and they are not unbanded. They are unbanded and they don't have cello on them, so it'd be hard to sell that as a single in a store. Some
of them have. Like the ones from Romeo, Monte Cristo, the cigarillos I've seen in their tins, they come celloed and banded, because sometimes they will do basically like the Monte White has a cigarillo size.
Yep.
So
like the Pronto Petites.
Here's a perfect example of a cigarillo versus a cigar.
Yes.
Right. So this will take about, I would say, under a half hour to smoke.
Agreed.
Typically, right?
Agreed.
Half hour. It is perfect for like a lunchtime, like cigar, if you want like something at lunch, on the way home from work. But for the most part, which is different from the hand rolled versus machine made, they're going to still use some of the same components from like the Cohiba Nicaragua. If you get this in a Toro or a Robusto or any other size, it's going to have the same components in their cigarillo.
Yes.
So there could still be high-end cigarillos.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Definitely. I would put that Cohiba Nicaragua and some of the other, ones that come from the Cohiba family up there. I'd put the Davidoff cigarillos up there. Some of the cigarillos from Drew Estate, Undercrown Coronets, the Liga Privada Coronets. Those are great small cigarillo, quick smokes.
Do they use short filler, right?
It depends. So I believe the Drew Estate and Davidoff ones are long. Don't quote me on that, but I believe that they are long. I'm not sure if all of the ones from Altadis and General and Forge Cigar are a mix of long and mixed fillers. Cuban sandwich, you call it.
Yeah.
But as far as the tobaccos in the cigar and the blends, they're not as how do I want to say this? I think there's a bit more of, let me rephrase that. I think there's a bit more of quality control and things that go behind making these cigarillos with the components that go into them, opposed to the machine made, like we were talking about in our previous podcast. So there's many different things that differentiate the two.
Yeah. So we'll break it down, because I know I did just show you the difference in between this and this. So typically, a cigarillo, I would say, like you said, the length is always 4 inches. Typically. It seems like it's typically 4 inches.
Yep.
And then the ring could be anywhere between 20 to 38. And the ring is just basically the
diameter.
Perfect word. The diameter of how big the cigar is. So if you're smoking like a 4x32, that's most likely, even if it doesn't say it on a website or any information, it's probably going to be a cigarillo. It's going to be a cigarillo size.
Exactly. Yes.
The cigar, we're smoking a Churchill, or double Corona. This is, I would guess by like looking at it, you got to catch up to smoking too.
I know. No.
But just by looking at it first before we lit it, I would say it's like a 7x48.
I would say so.
6x6, not 6x60, maybe 6x54.
I would say probably a 52, 54 ring gauge.
That's going to take you. That's more of a Toro double Corona size. Yep. That's going to take you anywhere between 70 to 90 minutes. Mm-hmm. So that's obviously a major difference in a cigarillo versus a cigar.
Yeah, I mean, some cigars even get up to 70, 80 ring gauges if you want to talk about the Asylums or some of the stuff that they have in the JFR family. They just released a 10 by 100 Lunatic. That's a crazy one. I couldn't imagine trying to smoke that bad boy.
Looked like a baseball bat. And there are people out there that really do enjoy smoking those big ring gauge cigars.
Yeah, you'll find that a lot in the South. A lot of bigger guys like smoking them.
Mm-hmm. Now, another question you may have about cigarillos versus cigars is how often should you take a puff? I've been taught, and please correct me if I'm wrong, with a cigar, I don't follow it, but you should take one puff every minute. That's what I hear to really to really maximize the smoking experience. You'll see me on here, I'll be taking a puff. 15 seconds later, I'll take another puff just because I don't know, maybe I'm used to just, when smoking cigarettes, you're kind of doing that. I feel like people do that with cigarillos, right? They'll smoke them a little bit. Like they probably won't wait a minute. They'll do 30 seconds every puff, just because they're probably used to smoking a cigarette, and it just has that same feel. But if you can try to wait a minute in between each puff for both of them, I would suggest that, because I have noticed, the times where I'm waiting on taking a puff of a cigar, I notice that the flavors are building up more.
Yes,
and I think it's because it's burning and
it's getting the right ratios of the tobaccos that are used in the fillers, the binder, and the wrapper is all kind of meshing well together. Whereas if you're smoking, taking a puff every 10 seconds, the filler is going to burn way faster. It's going to affect how the wrapper burns then. And, you're kind of going to get, sometimes, if I'm smoking a cigar fast, I do the same thing as you every once in a while. And I'm just kind of just puffing and puffing and puffing on it. And then you get that, where the filler is just sticking out like a point at the end. And you're not really getting all the flavor notes and the way that it was intended to be smoked and the way that, the flavors were intended to hit your palate.
Mm-hmm. Now, another common question I've seen online when talking about cigarillos, do they taste like cigars? And I think we covered it in our last episode. I would say, and we covered a little bit here today, most cigarillos that you see, and I know I keep using this as an example, just we had it in our inventory and we wanted to show you. It says Cohiba Nicaragua on it. So if you go on our website and you look up this cigar and you look up the Cohiba Nicaragua brand, you may see this cigar within its lineup, right? That we have in stock. It has the same components as an original or a bigger size. So I would say cigarillos differentiate from other small cigars that are machine made. They're going to be different because they use 100% pure tobacco.
Yes.
Right.
Completely.
So I mentioned earlier the Monte Cristo White. That's one of my favorite cigarillos, honestly. And it tastes very similar to a Monte Cristo White Toro. So yes, I think they do taste the same. Have you ever had a cigarillo that maybe tasted a little bit different than its bigger, partner or brother, so to speak? I don't really taste a difference.
I don't really taste too much of a difference. If anything, I would say maybe just, because if you're smoking a Toro, sometimes the flavors change a little bit on the final third of the cigar. But as far as overall smoking, I wouldn't say there's too much of a difference there because, like you had mentioned, using the same components of tobacco and everything, it kind of leads to that same kind of smoking experience. And hopefully you enjoy the Cigarillo size just as much as you would the Robusto or Toro or whatever else is in that brand family.
Now, price-wise, would you say that they're around the same? Would you say Cigarillos are cheaper than cigars? From your experience, obviously working on the merchandising side, I feel like you do a lot of different stuff. Obviously you work on the merchandising side, so you're used to talking numbers and all that. But speak from a consumer, would you say that they're cheaper than cigars, or do they fall around the same price?
So it depends on what cigarillos you're looking for. Typically, they will be cheaper, and you will get, I don't want to say more bang for your buck because a cigar is smaller, but you can get a single tin for the price of a single stick in some cases. So in that aspect, it is cheaper. Same thing with buying a brick. If you're going to buy a whole brick or a carton of like we were talking about at the beginning, 5x10, so 5 packs of 10 cigarillos, that can be anywhere from, it depends on the brand, but it can be anywhere from, in the $50 to $60 range to I think upwards of 70, maybe even closer to, like $80 or $90, depending on the brands. But you're getting 50 cigars, whereas, a box of 20 can run you over $150 depending.
Yeah.
So in that case, they are more value driven, but it doesn't take away from the, I want to say complexity of the smokes, but it doesn't take away from the smoking experience if you want to have more cigars to smoke.
Yeah. Excuse me. I think I would run through more cigarillos than I do cigars. Absolutely. For sure, especially in the summertime. I think I would just kind of be chain smoking them, honestly, because they're smaller. They're, it took me some time when I was a new cigar smoker to find, to really kind of develop my palate, to kind of, figure out what I like smoking. So there were times where I would maybe smoke something like what we're smoking now, and if it was in the beginning, I'd be like, oh, I'm gonna throw up, or like it really hit me hard, or so I always tend to lean towards the money, like the Connecticut mellow to medium bodied cigars. I never have gotten like a harsh smoking experience with a cigarillo, and that's the difference between smoking like a nub cigar, not the brand, but like, I guess I don't know if you call it a nub, but like a short, like
what's like a 4x60.
Yeah, 4x60. Yeah. You have to watch out for those. I never recommend them to new cigar smokers. Those and Churchills, they will kick your ass.
Yeah.
Even if they are medium bodied, that's packing a lot of tobacco in either a long period of time or a short period of time. And if it's shorter, you might feel the need to, and we're just talking about cigars, not cigarillos. Cigarillos this size, like this won't kick my butt. This will be very smooth. I've had this in some of our in our morning meetings, and I'm like, this is perfect with my coffee right now. Yep. There's times in the morning I really don't want to smoke a cigar, honestly.
Yeah.
But you know what? I'll go over there, I'll smoke. And it's really smooth, and I really, really liked it.
So, yeah, another thing with cigarillos is they're really great to bring on vacation if you have a family or if you have your spouse or your couple and you don't have time devoted to smoke, for 60 minutes or 90 minutes, or you just need a quick smoke in the morning on the balcony before you're going to do your stuff out there, or if you want something quick before the beach, whatever it may be, whatever your travel plans are, I think cigarillos fit that. More so, if you're traveling alone, feel free to load up your travel door with as many cigars as you want. But if you have, constraints with family or whatever,
timing,
it's a big thing.
Because vacation, we all know, it's very rare that you're just chilling. You
usually got plans, you got things you're going.
So if you have a 20 to 30 minute window, I think a cigarillo is perfect for that. Mm-hmm. One last question before we sign off: would you say cigarillos are? Where would you say they're most popular in the world? Would you say they're more popular over in Europe? If they're popular, in Nicaragua, in the DR, in the United States, do you see any other part of the world are a little more catered to smoking a cigarillo versus a cigar?
So I would say I've only had the pleasure of being to Honduras and the Dominican Republic, but everyone I saw there in the factories and just in general, they would be smoking regular hand rolled normal cigars. Not many cigarillos have I seen people smoking there. I would say possibly Europe. I've never visited any Europe countries, but I want to say they're a bit more popular there.
I feel like cheroots. I know they're not. I think they're more like in the previous episode we said they're more machine made.
Yeah.
But that I remember the Henry Clay cheroot, rustic cheroot.
Yep.
I remember that was one of the first cigars I ever smoked here.
Oh wow.
And that was like a 30-minute smoke. It was a pretty decent size, but it just so I feel like maybe over in Italy or other countries over there, over across the pond, as they say. I think they're probably more. I could see like cigarillos being very popular in like Paris for some reason.
Yeah, I think
I don't know why
where they smoke. Europe. There's still a decent amount of cigarette smokers over there, so I would say that you probably find people smoking cigarillos as well. I've never been to Europe, but like you were saying, I could totally see it being popular in
and I don't know if the European market is very popular with cigars. I know like on YouTube or social media, I'll get comments like, "Do you guys sell over here in like Switzerland or Germany and it's like or England?" And it's like we don't ship over there. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So I wonder like what their rules and regulations are, or just like what their I guess the popularity, like how popular are cigars over there really.
Yeah.
Because you don't really see like if you think in pop culture, right? Any movie you watch or not a lot of foreign movies or movies that take place over that are not in the States are really enjoying and this is just me, but from what I've seen, not really seeing a lot of like cigar smoking over there.
No, not really.
It's really cigarettes and whatnot. But so it'd be interesting to see if that because cigarette smoking is so popular over there, I feel like if cigarillos would translate well to that too.
I think so. And the other tricky thing with the European market is that they're able to get Cuban cigars.
Okay.
So now that
so they probably don't even want to mess with any other type of cigars from like Nicaragua or DR.
They're starting to pick up a little bit of pace over there, just because I think the Cuban pricing has gotten a little absurd lately. But they're still great cigars, but I think that can make people lean more towards smoking cigarillos.
They're okay. I have a weird thing about Cubans, but
I'm in the same spot.
Cigars,
as you.
Cuban cigars.
Yeah, I'm in the same spot. I don't want to get you in trouble.
Yeah, you can't get me in trouble online now.
I'm in the same boat with you with Cuban cigars. I've had my fair share.
The construction just never lives up to what I'm expecting, I guess.
Exactly, and I like nicotine heavy cigars, so I really like a stronger cigar, and typically you don't find that with Cubans.
No,
not saying that they're bad.
They are smoother in that regard.
They're smoother,
they're earthier.
You get a bit of earthiness.
Like when people say earth, I'm like, what the hell does that mean? But then I smoked a Cuban, I'm like, I get it now.
Yeah.
So, but I think what this just means that we have to go over to Europe now, you and I.
Oh yeah.
And our videographer, and just test the cigar market over there. I think the company will let us do that, right? Go to Italy for a week and be like, what's your cigar policy? Or just see what it's over there. But in all seriousness, it'd be interesting to see like the trend over there. But I didn't know that about the Cuban, them able to buy Cubans over there, Cuban cigars.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's really interesting. So, but yeah, we appreciate you guys watching another hopefully educational piece on Embers and Insights. I'm Chris.
I'm Bobby.
Until next time.